Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book haul. The books that I will be hauling are what I acquired from Daedalus and their winter book sale earlier this year. I acquired a total of 15 books, and let's get right into them. The first thing that I picked up is Consider the Lobster and Other Essays by David Foster Wallace. Most people, myself included, recognize him for his mammoth Infinite Jest. I only heard about that because Jessie nominated it as one of her works for the Big Book Bowl poll. But this incorporates various essays that Wallace put together on various subjects. The next thing that I got really caught my attention. The World at the Brink, 1983, by Taylor Downing. And this pertains to the tension between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, between U.S. President Ronald Reagan and the Russian leader at the time, Yuri Andropov. Andropov was not in. He did not rule Russia for quite a long period of time, even though he did have noteworthy connections with the KGB. And this is something that I would be inclined to learn more about, because I remember in Soviet Russia class, we obviously touched upon Stalin. We touched upon Khrushchev, Brezhnev, Andropov, and Karinkin, or I think his first name was Konstantin. He was the leader after Andropov, and then Gorbachev was after him, and Gorbachev oversaw the fall of the Soviet Empire. Next, I picked up The Tetris Effect, the game that hypnotized the world by Dan Ackerman. This is a history about Tetris and its impact that it has had on our world, the world of computers and games. Tetris is something that really intrigues me. We used to have a Tetris tournament back in my high school, and I finished in second place back in my sophomore year. I was a semifinalist 2 more times, and I have the record for most lines in a Tetris game, even though that one, I achieved that record at home, printed out my results, and handed them in to Mr. Clark, who was the one that would coordinate the Tetris tournament and the records. This one seemed to interest me because I wanted to learn more about language and world culture, and that is Around the World in 80 Cliches. Overused Expressions from Across the Globe by Laura Lee. And I am just intrigued and inclined to learn more about various cliches and things that people say in different countries, how it translates into our language. Next, I got 50 Foods That Changed the Course of History, written by Bill Price. And this is just gold for somebody like myself that loves food. I like to learn it. I love to eat food. I love to learn about food. Just anything pertaining to food. And on the topic of food, one of my favorite kinds of food is cheese. So I got myself a new cheese cookbook, the Cheesemongers Seasons, Recipes for enjoying cheese with ripe fruits and vegetables. This was put together by Chester Hastings. I have one of his other books. I own the Cheesemonger's Kitchen, which he wrote as well. I got that from Second Time Books. But this one has quite an intriguing variety of recipes that I might want to look into and make sometime. Perhaps this will incorporate healthier eating into my diet. This is The Glorious Vegetables of Italy by Domenica Marchetti. And this is a wide variety of vegetable recipes, throughout the Italian menu. And this is quite a pancetta, pomodoro, cipolla, olio, sale. It's quite something. This is quite a nice looking photograph. These photographs were put together by Sang-an. And the last cookbook that I got is also by Domenica Marchetti, and it's Rustic Italian. This was published by Williams-Sonoma, and this has a wide variety of Italian recipes, only this covers everything. As long as it's rustic Italian, it's game. Next, I got some books that I learned about through the BookTube prize. The first being the first winner of the BookTube fiction prize from the 2019 awards, and that is A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne. I recognize him for having written The Boy in Striped Pajamas. This is a bit different in its nature, but from what I've heard, people could not help but admire and adore it. I also recognized Melmoth by Sarah Perry. She wrote The Essex Serpent, but I recognize this from the BookTube prize as well. And one of the finalists for the fiction prize last year was Lanny by Max Porter. Porter I recognize for having written Grief is a Thing with Feathers. And Lanny looks like it's quite intriguing as well. And from how far it made it, the judges were impressed. The next three books that I got are on the topic of animals. The first one being Homing by John Day. And this has to do with Day's experiences of raising homing pigeons. One thing that really caught my attention is The Book of Eels by Patrik Svensson. And Svensson examines and explores the enigmatic creatures that are eels. And I'd like to learn more about various animals, and marine animals are quite something too. The way that they're going to look into eels is something that I would be curious to learn more about, because they are pretty enigmatic. And I got Spying on Whales by Nick Pyenson. And in this piece, Pyenson examines the the background and the just the exploration on the topic of whales in their natural habitat and the observation of doing so. Pyenson is got a pretty hefty background when it comes to science and nature writing, and he's had articles and pieces published in various outlets. And finally, I got Empathy, A History by Susan Lanzoni. And I would just be inclined to learn more about the topic of empathy. And it's the way that humans practice, utilize, and demonstrate empathy from the psychological perspective. Those are the books that I got during my visit to Daedalus. I want to thank everybody for checking out this video. They do have a very good selection, and the prices are very good on their site. I got many of them for anywhere from 60 to 75% off, sometimes even 80, 90% off. Those books are very cheap on Daedalus, and they have quite a nice selection. Me checking out those catalogs is not always the safest thing to do, because, and by that I mean not the safest thing for my wallet or my bank account. Thank you, and for now, keep reading.